Good evening, happy Friday, and welcome to the Chris Salcedo Show here on Newsmax TV. You know, I got to tell you, I'm amazed that this nation seeks advice, direction, and counsel from so many dishonest, unqualified, ignorant, or just plain dumb people. It frankly astonishes me. I blame the government-run schools molding our kids to accept idiots, and then I blame the biased press for perpetuating the idiocy. You know, we have to stop listening to stupid people. It's a good rule of thumb to follow in tonight's preamble. Let's deal with the dishonest folks first, shall we? NBC, air quotes, News, under fire tonight for lying to their audience about the police-involved shooting in Ohio that saved one, potentially two, black people from being stabbed to death. In an apparent effort to disparage a white police officer who shot a knife-wielding 60-year-old black girl to prevent her knife attack on other black people, NBC's premier newscast, NBC Nightly News, deceptively edited the 911 call. Now, here is part of the call, and we left in all the relevant parts.
We got these grown girls over here trying to fight us, trying to stab us, trying to put her hands on our grandma. Get here now.
Do you see any weapons?
We need a police officer here now.
Do you see any weapons?
Police officer now.
NBC Nightly News didn't play one of the most crucial parts of that 911 call. NBC News left out the part where the potential victim said, quote, "It's these grown girls over here trying to fight us, trying to stab us. Get here now," end quote. In my opinion, NBC News selectively edited out the portion of the call that would have justified the white officer's actions because of their anti-cop liberal bias. Now, they were not alone. The New York Times and the Washington Post were also caught omitting the fact that 16-year-old Ma'Khia Bryant was armed with a knife. This isn't the first time, though, that NBC has edited a 911 call in an effort to meet their political narrative. In the Trayvon Martin George Zimmerman case, NBC deceptively edited a 911 tape to make it appear that Zimmerman, a Latino, volunteered to police without provocation that Martin was black. Quote, "This guy looks like he's up to no good. He looks black," end quote. NBC News edited out the part where the 911 dispatcher specifically asked Zimmerman if the person in question was, quote, "black, white, or Hispanic." When a news organization begins to change facts in a story to meet a political agenda, their product ceases to become news and becomes propaganda. What else would you expect from a network, though, that has this editorial outlook?
I think it's become clearer that fairness is overrated. Well, before you run off and tweet that headline, let me explain a bit. The idea that we should always give two sides equal weight and merit does not reflect the world we find ourselves in.
That's right. When fairness gets in the way of your left-wing agenda, just edit the news to fit your narrative, right, Lester? That leads us to the unqualified people. At the same network as Mr. Holt, there is a host by the name of Joyless Reid. In an obvious push to validate teenagers attacking one another with knives, Joyless said this.
Because, you know, I was saying on my Instagram earlier, I remember fights in even high school or even younger than that, where a kid brought a penknife or something to school and teachers were able to defuse that and they didn't have guns.
Okay, knives, no big deal, kid. Kids will be kids, right, Joy? Just let them cut each other up, right? You know, what could go wrong? On Wednesday, Janiah Pate, a 13-year-old from Cincinnati, appeared in court, accused of fatally stabbing 13-year-old Nayaria Givens with a pocket knife on Monday. Officers responded to the scene to find Givens suffering from a stab wound to the right side of her neck. Teenager was rushed to the Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center, where she later died. What could go wrong, eh, Joy? Do these leftists ever tire of being wrong? How can we trust our government, our culture, and our kids to the likes of Joyless Reid? That brings us to the ignorant. Another joyless person, Joyless Behar from ABC's The View. This is what she had to say about the white officer saving black lives from a knife attack.
I mean, it seems to me, in a situation, this is what it looked like to me, and I've looked at the tape and I still can't figure it out. Shoot the gun in the air as a warning, tase a person, shoot them in the leg, shoot them in the behind, you know, stop them somehow. But if the only solution is to kill a teenager, there's something wrong with this. There's something very, very wrong.
Oh, okay. This woman obviously has never fired a weapon, has never taken a course in basic self-defense. Hell, she's probably never even gone on a ride-along with a police officer. Yet she jumps on national television and says, the officer should have fired a bullet in the air. Folks, that's illegal. Any 12-year-old can tell you what goes up must come down. But Joyless Behar appears to be ignorant of that concept. When you fire a bullet into the air, it could drop from the sky miles away and kill an innocent person. Nobody who is in charge of public safety would ever suggest such an ignorant course of action. Which is why I am befuddled as to why so many people who watch The View listen to anything that woman has to say. Why would anyone listen to Joyless Behar, a woman who hasn't even grasped the concept of gravity? That leads us to the dumb folks in our society. Still at NBC, I'm sensing a pattern here. The Reverend Al Sharpton said this about the Columbus, Ohio incident.
Every case, the police may not be wrong, but every case, they're not right. And that is why there's such distrust, because they've unilaterally always gone with the police.
I have no idea what he was talking about. I have no idea what he just said. But I do get this.
It is something that we cannot tolerate. It is something that we have to deal with as the civil rights issue of today. We need the federal government to step in and start acting like they promised. We stood up and voted as a community, unprecedented numbers, to put Democrats in the White House, in the Senate, and in the House. Now it's time to get a return on our investment by protecting our lives against bad cops.
The Reverend wants some payback for the votes he delivered. So his message to the Democrats is quite clear. Target those cops who save black lives from black-on-black crime. Maybe this is what the Rev was really talking about. In southwestern Pennsylvania, the Black Political Empowerment Project, BPEP, is calling for police to ignore lawbreaking by refusing to enforce 14 moving violations in cars. That's right. To bring down police shootings, the BPEP is suggesting that laws simply not be enforced. Just like Joyless Reid seemed to be suggesting, yeah, let the knife fights go on. I'm sure socialists will work on coming through for Joyless Reid and the Rev. If you look at it, socialists are already pushing D.C. statehood in violation of the Constitution. They're already allowing massive, uncontrolled illegal immigration into the United States, and Hunter Biden's walking around free. Lawless behavior is what Democrat socialists are all about, which still begs the question, why do we listen to them?